The Harvard MBA growth-oriented essay is curiosity can be seen in many ways. Please share an example of how you have demonstrated curiosity and how that has influenced your growth. This is a 250-word essay. Among the many examples I've read on Harvard MBA Curiosity Essay, 6 use cases cover most of the curiosity and growth narrative. Number 1, exploration of solution. Number 2, curiosity and cultural change. Number 3, communication and curiosity. Number 4, curiosity, courage, and growth. Number 5, learning goals and curiosity. Number 6, diversity and curiosity. So let's go one by one. Number 1, exploration of solution. Most innovation happens after persisting through bad ideas, pivoting at the right time, finding an idea that's an evolution of the original idea, or a completely different stream of ideas that has no connection with the original idea. In Harvard MBA essays on curiosity and growth, sharing the process of how you reached a solution conveys the authenticity of your trait as a curious problem solver. Technology and financial solutions are some of the best examples where exploration of solutions can be tied to curiosity. In technology, proof of concept or prototyping is a classic example of curiosity leading to a germ for an idea that became a new product or became an entry point for a new market. In private equity, I read of an idea to enter a new geography purely by innovation in how certain data was evaluated. The data existed for 30 years. Even with machine learning and analytical tools, no one bothered to look at the data with a context on the stability of the political system and loan rate in the country. With the applicants' innovative thinking, leveraging the country's low borrowing rate for global acquisitions became a standard practice. Make sure that recommenders credit you for any industry innovation. You may download essay examples for business-minded essay, leadership-focused essay, and growth-oriented essay with FNGMAT's Harvard MBA essay guide from store.fngmat.com/Harvard-MBA-essay-guide. Number 2, curiosity and cultural change. In corporate culture where productivity is king, introducing processes, frameworks, and systems that encourage greater autonomy can be a challenge. Capturing the challenge and finding a system or framework that's a negotiable middle ground to balance productivity with autonomy are some of the believable narratives I have read. One example was about a new framework. I remember an operations manager who had systems in place for optimizing the productivity of each factory worker. Despite documenting and optimizing for each movement, the improvement in productivity was marginal. To understand the gaps, he introduced a digital forum where everyone from the worker on the floor to the middle manager can offer feedback without any repercussions. Because of the variation in education across the teams, written communication was a challenge for factory workers. He introduced an audio messaging option that brought in feedback from floor workers. Some of the feedback was crucial in recognizing gaps in his own understanding of the factors that limit productivity at a worker level. His curiosity to unearth the productivity gap by introducing a new communication framework was crucial for changing the organization from a rigid hierarchical to an open culture. The second example I've read was around new learning systems. An applicant who was a manager shared how his curiosity to find the reasons for a string of deal failures led to the creation of a library of case studies for his business development team. By encouraging the team to author cases, by engaging with top business development persons, every deal details, including strategies, templates, context around the offering, and reasons for wins and losses were documented. Instead of a generic how not to write a proposal, the losing and winning cases offered a much larger perspective on factors that matter in a deal. A discussion forum around the cases also became active, leading to internalizing best practices in proposal creation and communicating with clients. Another example I have read was around a new process. Even in flat organizations, there are processes on how a deal is closed, how to send a proposal, how to communicate with clients, and so on. Any examples that curiously questions accepted norms that have become irrelevant in new way of doing business are excellent examples of an applicant's curiosity influencing an organization's processes. For an office where work from home had become a unique selling proposition for retaining star performers, Entry-level employees were finding it challenging to fill the skill gap that the star performers had mastered. Instead of interrupting the star performers who had systems in place to maximize their productivity, the applicant, a team lead, developed a screen sharing option with the trainees to demonstrate how the star performer researched and built a case for a deal. By keeping the privacy of the screen sharing to two viewers with an option to ask questions at the end of the research task, trainees learned the critical part of due diligence while star performers could share their strategies with minimum interruption to their work. The new process was an innovation in training for the startup. If you want to read how I've written the curiosity and growth essay, download FNGMAT's Harvard MBA essay guide from store.fngmat.com/Harvard-MBA-essay-guide. The third theme is communication and curiosity. The second important skill after conflict management in a team is communicating values. Instead of sharing an example of demonstrating curiosity, you may share an example where you reinforce curiosity as a value in the team. The challenge for a boutique consulting company was that the edge the boutique firm had in offering specialized consulting solutions were replaced by a culture of generic advice and obvious conclusion. Recognizing the change in the culture, an applicant, a CEO, introduced a performance metric where a person's engagement in a team meeting was also measured. What started as a high resistance to changing the culture turned into a study on how even the habit of asking questions can lead to deeper insights, creativity, and higher sense of well-being. Another communication and curiosity example is around networking and career opportunity. Getting job opportunities from an interaction in a pub, to an Uber driver suggesting a technique to fine-tune a media proposal, to networking through a non-profit engagement, the paths to finding opportunities for career transitions or closing a deal are diverse. Sharing your attitude towards networking and how curiosity is driving you to find opportunity from unconventional sources are one way to reiterate your unique quality. The applicant who found a better way to stand out in the proposal converted an advertising pitch to an acquisition. The applicant who commented on the techniques of the football players in the pub received an offer for a career change. The networking technique the applicant employed to attract a high-profile investor impressed a peer in a nonprofit so much so that he recommended the applicant to his firm. A change in career from technology to venture capital happened with no additional degrees. Another example around networking and curiosity is around the kind of questions you ask. This is extremely relevant for Harvard MBA, where case study method is the fundamental tool for teaching. The number of LinkedIn requests I get with a transactional goal could very well be interpreted as a problem of networking in modern times. But on reflection, such networking strategy from professionals is from lack of one quality, curiosity. A better networker will find ways to ask deeper questions and understand the other person's perspective, priorities, and thoughts on what is ailing their industry. Often such deeper questions build relationships that go beyond transactional requests. Once the foundational relationship is built and frequency of communication is established, it becomes much easier to ask for help. The best examples of outreach through LinkedIn all involve spending hours understanding the person's journey, values, and even perspective about controversial topics. For one applicant, networking through LinkedIn with a contact started as a bridge to reach a superstar fund manager. The person she reached had around 15 persons in the network, but among them were 3 superstar fund managers. From this data, she could infer that the link to the high-value lead had an interesting life of her own. Without a manipulative strategy to request for connecting to the superstar fund manager, she started asking questions about real estate, the niche the contact was specializing in. After a week of discussing some of the evolving issues on taxation and regulation, the contact revealed that she was the wife of the fund manager. Without any request for connection, she suggested that her husband would be a better help in guiding the applicant with advice on investment strategies. Deeper connections are established with deeper questions. Deeper questions cannot be formulated without curiosity. Share one such example of curious questioning that led you to a path of professional growth. You may download essay examples for business-minded essay, leadership-focused essay, and growth-oriented essay with FNGMAT's Harvard MBA essay guide from store.fngmat.com/Harvard-MBA-essay-guide. The fourth theme is curiosity, courage, and growth. The classic case of curiosity driving growth and fear of challenging the status quo limiting product innovation is the example of Model T. From a new design in 1908 to mass production in 1913 to selling half of all the cars in the US in 1926 to stopping the production in 1927 on Edsel Ford's insistence are timelines that mimic many of the current product life cycles. Henry Ford revolutionized the mass market adoption of cars by focusing on markets that were hesitant to consider the luxury product. Farmers and rural residents found cars to be a threat to their livelihood with increased competition for horse and buggy and migration to their neighborhood with easy access to roads. It's only when Ford revolutionized the design with lightweight materials and assembly line manufacturing that cars became affordable across income groups. With customer preferences changing, it was only a matter of time before the market dominance would diminish. Edsel Ford recognized the new market reality and pushed for a more modern design. Any example of product innovation, if you are in finance, technology, or in an advisory role for a large consumer goods brand, can be narrated through the two dynamic curiosity and innovation and fear of change limiting risk taking. You may download essay examples for business minded essay, leadership focused essay, and growth oriented essay with FNG Math's Harvard MBA essay guide from store.fngmath.com/Harvard-MBA-essay-guide. The fifth theme for the Harvard MBA curiosity and growth narrative is learning goals and curiosity. Prior knowledge and self awareness of prior knowledge determine to a large degree how you learn. Curiosity from learning at Harvard Business School and customizing the curriculum to achieve your post-MBA goals with learning goals are measured by how realistically you evaluate your learning milestones. Standardized tests and GPA offer insights on your learning progression, but to truly leverage the Harvard MBA curriculum, curiosity is essential. For one applicant who had acquired significant domain expertise in finance, the case study method was a tool to acquire business knowledge, cultural intelligence, and a framework to make decisions, and not just functional knowledge. But he was deeply aware of his knowledge gap. Applicants convey this vulnerability through the tone of their narrative or in reflecting on a gap that led to a failure. For a growth narrative, explaining a failure and how you curiously broke down the cause of the failure could lead to unique essays on learning. The sixth theme around curiosity and growth is diversity and curiosity. Several of the solutions to build diversity of ideas, perspective, and talent in a team revolves around hiring and recruitment practice. The influence of diverse talent on reaching new markets through product, strategy through marketing, and solutions through technology is evident in the recent DEI research at top consulting firms. For Harvard, applicants must tweak the traditional DEI narratives praised at Stanford or Columbia, where the narrative is often from a historical perspective, a mix of historical perspective, but more importantly, the business case for diversity works better for Harvard Business School. Curiously finding solutions that reimagines traditional talent sourcing techniques is a common strategy to connect diversity and curiosity. For one applicant in talent acquisition, the strategy was to include a list of traditionally African American names in LinkedIn search using the OR operator to shortlist talents that are often overlooked in traditional referral-based hiring, where the predominant ethnicity in the company determines the newly available talent pool. If you need my help in editing, subscribe to FNG Math's essay editing service at store.fngmath.com/essay-editing. If you have any questions about FNG Math's consulting and editing services, reach out to me, Atul Jose, at editor@fngmath.com.